All right, hi everyone. Dr. Kiki Fontenot out here at the Hill Farm Teaching Facility. This was going to be a live at 5, but now we're doing a recorded video so you guys can see more of the farm without us losing a little bit of Wi-Fi out here. So we're really excited to share this teaching facility with you. We are not quite at the heart of campus, but we are on LSU's campus in Baton Rouge. And what you can see is this facility we have here is 3.5 acres. We're adjacent to the Lod Cook Hotel, which you can see towering behind us. To my left, your right, would be the LSU AgCenter right over there. Behind us is Sorority Row, and then behind that, of course, is the lakes. And the reason I'm telling you guys this is because the reason why we have this beautiful land here and such great soil and everything is when the lakes were created and dredged, that soil was brought and mounded up in this general area. And this is where the Hill Farm was started back in 1929 with Julian C. Miller, who was famous potato breeder here at LSU. So his first test plots were actually at what is now the French House on campus. So if you guys know where Life Sciences is and that kind of area, it's right there. And the Hill Farm extended all the way to there, encompassing somewhere between 40 and 50 acres. Now, over the years, main campus has sort of taken over and slimmed down some of our agriculture research. So this was a hot spot in the 20s, the late 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s. Then we start getting Sorority Row built and the houses. We start getting the rec center in the early 90s. In the 80s, we got some of these other buildings around here that are more just administration type buildings. So, but what we're really hanging on to, what we really love, is our last 3.5 acres here on campus. This is super important to us because all of you guys who are LSU fans, LSU alumni, y'all bleed purple and gold. LSU is an A&M college, so we are an agriculture and mechanical college. That A stands for agriculture. We got to keep our agriculture on campus because we have ag students and we want to send them on to jobs in the real world with hands-on experience. So that's the whole purpose here of this Hill Farm teaching facility, is to give our students the opportunity to come touch live crops, learn how to prune them, learn how to fertilize them, learn how to grow them. So when we send them out in the real world, they have this experience already. We're really excited because this orchard that we're standing in now, this is we call this our container orchard. You can see these muscadines here are in large black containers. We have the container orchard and we have the in-ground orchard. We got money from the LSU student government, actually. They have a sustainable fund. They gave us a $15,000 grant to replant and to expand our orchard out here to give students the opportunities to come eat. So if you guys are listening to this and you're an LSU student and you just happen to be coming through here on campus, you are more than welcome to come out here, look for some fruit like you see here, feel it. These are very hard, not ready muscadines, but if they feel a little softer, y'all pick it, y'all eat it, y'all enjoy it, okay? We use this to train our farmers. So in December, we had a really great Farmers Field Day out here to talk about our blueberry shrubs that we're doing right now. So y'all come out, y'all enjoy the Hill Farm, share it with us. So while we're standing here, we'll just walk down and we'll look at these gorgeous muscadines. This is a new trellis system that we put up. Our students, the horticulture students, actually designed and put this trellis up. It's a 2-wire system, so if you're looking to grow muscadines at your house, a lot of people can put it on old clothes hangers, like where you're gonna dry your sheets and stuff like that. We have a line down here. It's a really nice thick gauge wire. The reason why we have this line is because you'll see every now and then, if we follow back this way, we have our irrigation clamped to it. We don't want our irrigation on the ground. If you have your irrigation on ground level, you're gonna end up weed eating it, hitting it. You're gonna cause a lot of tears and leaks in it. So we've got, this is a 1-inch poly line following by a spaghetti tube. And here what we have are these really cool little emitters. You can see the water comes out here in a fan shape. So when this is on, this little emitter is spraying water just in our container and not on the ground because we don't want to promote a lot of weed growth underneath. When you're looking into these containers too, you'll see a few weeds are coming up and we try to get those as often as we can. The muscadines are grown in a special mix that was developed with Dr. Ed Bush and myself, and we're looking at tailoring some special potting mixes to ornamental plants, to vegetable plants, to fruit plants. So you guys might already know about Tiger Grow that's on the market. It's on the striped tiger bags. That's one that the LSU AgCenter helped develop. So we have our Tiger Grow Like a Pro Tiger Grow, and this is kind of an offshoot. So you're going to see the vegetable one coming out this fall on the market. You'll notice these leaves on our muscadines are a little bit lime green right now. We're really getting into production. We don't want to over fertilize when we have fruit on the vines because that can affect flavor. Too much fertilizer on your fruiting crops can sometimes reduce flavor, reduce sugars. So we try to fertilize early in the season. After these are done and we're finished harvesting these, we'll fertilize them again to kind of boost them up a little bit. So as we go down, you'll just see these are in nice big pots. They're fertilized. Every now and then you'll see some silver shiny tape flapping like this. This was an attempt, we'll say, to keep the birds out of our blueberries. And when it didn't work there, we just stuck them over here for fun, I guess you could say. We ended up having to go with bird netting over there. But as we're going down, I kind of want to point out some things. A lot of people will call the Ag Center and they'll say, hey, I've got this grapevine. I just moved into a house, or I just bought a farm, or I just, whatever, moved into this area. And when the vines are dormant and you don't see the fruit, it's sort of hard to tell, is it a muscadine or is it a table grape? Because we can grow both here in Louisiana. We grow more muscadines because of Pierce's disease than we do table grapes, but we have a few that will grow well here. When you're looking at it, whether it's dormant or, in full leaf like it is now, what I want y'all to look at is the tendrils, okay? This is a tendril. A muscadine tendril is always going to remain straight. Okay, when we walk over to the other side of the farm, I'll show you a table grape ends in a fork, or it branches out into a Y. So even these curly Q ones, oops, I broke that one off, you're gonna see that they always are straight. That's an indicator to me whether this has fruit and leaves on it or not, that this is a muscadine vine right here. So again, the 2 trellis system, the bottom trellis, of course, is to hold up our irrigation. Well, this is a 3, that one's a 2. We have a 9-gauge wire right here in the center to hold up our bottom branch, and then again, a 1 at the top. So what we're looking at is our main arm, which is right here, and we're gonna prune it into 2 arms going off this way. So 1 and 1, so it looks like it's 4 arms going out. You can put a vine like this every 20 feet, okay? Because those are gonna fruit and do well for about 20 feet. That's when you put your next plant or your next vine crop out. And that's pretty much how we maintain this. We're not gonna prune this or anything until it's dormant, and then we'll come back and trim it down to almost nothing but those main vines coming down and leave it almost completely dormant. For a muscadine vine, we'll come back and we prune it down to spurs, and we might have to do another video on it there because it's going to be easier to see when it's dormant, but we'll come back and count so many nodes and leave about 20 nodes per vine, 25 maybe. So these are muscadine vines. These are still, we got another week or 2 on these because they really feel hard. They're not quite ready. Here's one ready right here. You can see the color change. Now, not all muscadines are going to be purple. Some are going to be green. You're going to be easily peel into it, and it's not going to be hard. It's just going to look like jelly like that right there. Some people eat the skin. I don't. I just like sucking it out like that. I think it's delicious. I love muscadines. Muscadines we're going to use for jellies, for wines. Table grapes are going to be more the kind that you just pick and eat. Now, people pick and eat muscadines too, but it depends on what you like. All right, guys, now we're over here with our traditional rabbit eye blueberries, okay? So we wanted to put these out for the students to see them. These rabbit eyes are gonna go dormant in the winter. So if you see all of a sudden, November, December, your leaves are falling off, on your normal blueberries, that's perfectly fine. That's just how they are. In fact, most of the times we plant them in the fall when they are dormant and they don't have leaves on them. I've had plenty of people very irritated at the people who mow their grass, whether it's at a school garden or, community garden. The person on the lawnmower didn't see them because there were no leaves, and they just mowed down, shrub after shrub after shrub when they were little and newly planted. So these, have already produced fruit. We're done with them here, but you can see now they're putting on a little new growth. What we did was we fertilized them in the early spring. So we're generally going to fertilize our fruit crops in that mid-January, early to mid-February range. Okay, that's when we're going to put our fertilizer down. Never a lot, just a little bit. And then we come back again right after they've produced their fruit, and we just give them just a little extra top dressing of fertilizer, okay? Generally, a complete fertilizer works fine. If you guys are into organics, you know, we can do composts and things of that nature. We don't want to put too much nitrogen near the base of it. We would put it out towards the edge where the feeder roots are, because that's where they're going to absorb most of that, and water it in immediately when you fertilize, or put it down before a big rain. I am going to point out, you're going to see some weeds in these pots, okay? They're easy to pull out. It's COVID time, guys, and our students aren't always as readily available as they are in non-COVID time. So if you feel bad about the weeds in your yard, know that the LSU AgCenter has weeds in its yard too, and that might make you feel a little at ease. Take a deep breath. It happens to everybody. Weeds come in overnight. We really want to pull these out when they're smaller than this. When they get big like this, you're going to be pulling out a lot of that material. So what happens to soil over time? If you have a pot on your container, on your patio, right? Every year it sinks a little more, it sinks a little more, it sinks a little more. If you're growing blueberries in containers, you don't just add soil to the top of this. So next year, the year after, if we notice we're 5-6 inches down, we're gonna have to lift these plants up out of their pots and add soil so it falls down to the bottom a little bit, and not keep burying those roots, because we could damage the plant more than we could do helping it by covering up those roots. So anyhow, you're gonna see a little tip burn here. This is from when the irrigation went off. When we have pots and we have irrigation like this, even though it's on a timer and it's automatic and it's spaghetti tubing, and these are emitters coming off every 12 inches, you can see right here in the pots on these rings, we still get little rodents come in. They like to chew on the wire, and if we don't miss it for a couple of 2, 3, 4 days, you get burn like this on your plants. So you can see that's why that one has it, and these are looking fine right here. But we've got nice, growth coming in. Everything's doing fine, except for the weeds. We got to manage that. But the highlight of this trial, so everybody knows what a rabbit eye, blueberry is, because that's what we grow in Louisiana. They're the bushes that you can put into the ground, and they get 10, 15 feet tall and wide. They make a nice hedge or privacy screen for most of the year. The thing that I'm really proud of, and that what we've been dabbling in and getting really excited about lately, are southern high bush blueberries. Our southern high bush blueberries are definitely going to be grown in pots. Any of those rabbit eyes, we could have just planted straight in the ground. Now, with blueberries, you got to watch your pH of your soil. So when I say straight in the ground, if you live maybe in the St. Francisville area, in the Covington area, the Washington Parish area, y'all have nice pH soil. A Meet Hammond area, you're kind of going to be in that 4.5, 5.5 range. Blueberries love that acidic soil. If you live like I'm in St. Gabriel or Baton Rouge or parts of Alexandria, and you've got more basic soil, you're going to have a harder time growing blueberries in the ground. So you're going to need to adjust that pH. Remember to send in your soil samples to the AgCenter before you plant a major crop like this, especially in large rows, to make sure your pH is right. And if not, we can help you adjust it, either up or down, whatever you need. But these southern high bush blueberries, these are evergreen, y'all. So those rabbit eyes I was telling you, they're going to lose their foliage in the winter. These are going to stay green all winter long. For you guys who are living in garden homes and y'all are looking to connect ornamental and edible because you don't have as much space, and you want to, use some of these, you want to have more edible crops, instead of your standard shrubs. So like, let's say you're going to replace your azaleas or something like that, right? You could maybe try a southern high bush blueberry, because it's going to give you evergreen foliage plus fruit, right? So you're kind of getting double bang for your buck. The reason why the AgCenter is looking at these and enjoying these right now is because these harvest earlier than the rabbit eyes. So these beat out our rabbit eyes by over a month. We started picking these March 9th. This year was our first picking. And these varieties ran all the way until the middle of June. We were still picking these. And if we keep looking down at some of these varieties, like we're at Atlas Blue right here, which is nice. We have Bianca Blue, Atlas Blue, Jupiter Blue. Those are our first 3 varieties in this trial on both sides of the rows with me. Those 3 are 0 chill hours. That means you guys down in New Orleans, y'all can grow these and you can get fruit. When I say chill hour, I'm talking about the amount of cold that you receive generally after dormancy. So for most of your fruit trees, like your peach or your plums or those kind of things, chill hours matter for all fruit. It's going to be at the point the leaf falls off until it re-leaves out, how many chill hours you get. New Orleans usually gets 0 chill hours. Baton Rouge, you're going to get 150, 200, 250, somewhere in there, maybe 400 on a really good year. Alexandria, central Louisiana, y'all are going to get in the 400 to 600 chill hours. North of that, so we're talking Shreveport, anywhere along the Arkansas border, y'all are going to get 800 or so chill hours. So what we're looking at is 0 chill hours all the way up to 150 as we go down here. This one right here is Snow Chaser, and you can see on Snow Chaser we do have a little bit of problems with Phytophthora. We've been fighting that. These pots, see how they're sitting up on paving stones right here? This side of the farm tilts slightly. You wouldn't think that there's elevation change in Baton Rouge, but there sure is. And so the water was draining this way, so we had a lot of problems with that. So we're slowly drenching this with a little bit of Ridamil. We're pruning this stuff out. But what I'm really excited about with Snow Chaser is you still see fruit on this vine. This was the very first variety that we picked, March 9th, and here we are on July 13th. And we've still got fruit production on this. Now, it's not as much or near as abundant as it was. I mean, this thing was blue earlier this season, but it's kind of cool, right? Because you're extending that season. So maybe you guys are thinking of opening a U-pick. Maybe you just want it in your backyard and you want to extend your season. Snow Chaser is one that we're definitely looking at, you know, as a recommendation. These plants in here, and when we kind of pan and scan around and look at this, you can see that some of them are getting about my height and wide now. These are 40-gallon pots. Y'all, these were planted in October of 2018, and they were in 38 count trays. So what that means is in one single tray, like you buy a flat of marigolds or so at the, you know, local hardware store, in one tray they had 38 plants. They were 2 inches tall, 2 inches wide, and this is the growth we've got on them in 2020 with a major harvest that we had on them. So you can see this Snow Chaser, look, I mean, this is still putting on more and more fruit. It's incredible what it's doing here in Baton Rouge. And as we get down, we can just see, you know, that the shrubs get nice and they have beautiful foliage and they're really attractive. So one of the things I wanted to tell you too is, and we'll look at this pot right here, this is Arcadia. This one, when you're growing your Southern High Bush in containers, it needs to be all organic matter. You're not going to take the soil out of your ground and fill up these containers. Y'all, this is straight pine bark in here. So it's nothing, that's what we use, nothing but pine bark. Now it's the grounds, the very fine pine bark. We didn't use the big chunky stuff that y'all would use for mulch. So not that 1.5, 2 inch pine bark grade, but the, you know, the little 3/8 inch and that kind of stuff is what we put in here. Y'all probably saw that there was a little bit of fertilizer on top. You can see we top dressed with ironite. Blueberries need a lot of iron, and we top dressed with a slow release fertilizer. We did that in the early spring, and we came back again right after harvest this year, mid-June, and we fertilized one more time, and you're starting to see some of the new growth coming out on it already. So these are doing wonderful. We need a couple more, that's a weed right there, don't look at that. We need a couple more years, maybe at least one more year of data before we start recommending which varieties we like the best for us here in Louisiana. We do have field days out here at the Hill Farm. You guys are more than welcome to come and join us. We can announce those on social media when we have them. We have commercial growers that come out, but we get a lot of people too that are just really into this, and maybe hobby gardeners doing this as like a side job for retirement, or just, you know, supplemental income because you like it. So we work with anybody, it doesn't matter. I want to show y'all something right here. When we're talking about growing blueberries, you need to have full sunlight. Full sunlight is just instrumental for not growth. You're going to get growth without full sunlight, but for yield, for the actual berries. We're not growing these things so much for a privacy screen as we want to eat something. Okay, so we're out here and we're with Ventura right now. We're talking about sunlight. So the Ventura here on the right hand side for you guys, these are taller, you can see, and a little bit bushier than the ones on my left hand side. And you can see when we're looking at where we're standing on the Hill Farm right now, we've got this big building, the hotel, you know, covering some of the sunlight, and we've got these nice lace bark elms in the background, whereas over here we don't have the trees coming in as close. The shrubs on the left hand side, just on this back portion of our can yard that we're standing on right now, these had twice the fruit that just these shrubs had. And I think that little bit of shadow cast down by the elms was just enough to get these things growing and stretching for sunlight and like broadening and getting big, but we barely picked any fruit off this. Whereas these over here that had a little more sunlight did incredible. So unfortunately for this variety, had we had it scattered more throughout the field, then we would have seen maybe a little bit better berry production on this one. And I think that's seriously just because of, you know, because of the sunlight issue back here. So you got to consider that and think full sunlight for anything that flowers and then fruits, whether it's a vegetable or a fruit crop. All right, guys, hey, we're over here now with some of our blackberry trials, and these aren't so much trials again. Remember, the Hill Farm is more about teaching. This is a facility where we're trying to engage our students in the actual crops. So I'm standing here next to some Ouachita blackberries. You can see these have not started ripening up yet here. But what's nice about these is, look, I can go up and down and all around on these things, and they're thornless, okay? So it's huge for you backyard gardeners, especially y'all like me with little kids. You don't want them coming in crying because they have thorns on them, and you want them to eat better, healthier, you know, produce and diets. And they love, my kids love coming out and picking blackberries. So I know your kids will too, even if you think they don't eat anything but white bread, okay? They're gonna come out, and if they're growing it and they feel in tune with it, they're gonna love it. So generally, you're gonna plant your blackberries either in the early spring or the fall. A lot of times they're dormant. They're gonna come in with some nice roots and maybe one little shoot, maybe nothing. And you can see these were planted last fall, so we've got to start kind of training them up here on our wire system. We've just started, you know, letting these grow and getting up. Again, we want to keep them up on the wires as they're coming and growing. That way we can keep this area clean under here. You can see that I had my student workers dump a ton of leaves underneath here. Got to have lots of leaves to control your weeds in here. You can see even with the leaves, we've got a beautiful LSU oak tree coming up right here. We don't want that growing here. And right here, we've got the world's #1 weed, nutsedge. And I'm sure Dr. Strahan has talked to you guys about this one. But the more you pull this, and this one has ants on it, the more you propagate it and it keeps coming up. So we want to try to keep that under control. And we try to do that by a lot of mulching out here. Because remember, we got the grants or the funds to redo a lot of this orchard because of the LSU student government who gave us a sustainable grant to have a sustainable orchard where we're trying to do minimize our spray and use better BMPs or best management practices such as mulching to control weeds. Okay, guys, so earlier in this video, I was talking to y'all about how to tell the difference between a muscadine and a table grape. Now these grapes have already, you can see where the fruit was here, they've already been picked either by students or, you know, birds or probably my kids, whoever, you know, COVID, we've had light traffic out here. But what I wanted to show you guys was if you, again, have moved into a house and even if this plant's dormant, you're still gonna see the tendrils on it. They'll just be brown and crispy, okay? But this is how you tell you have a table grape, okay? So the table grapes are gonna be the ones that you eat. We still make a lot of very fine wines out of table grapes, but do you see how the tendril forks? It ends in a fork here, like a Y. And I always remembered this in college when I was trying to remember things for a test. You put a fork on a table, you know, so that's how I remembered the table grapes always end in a forked area or a Y. So I know this one definitely is a table grape. This one, we have 2 table grapes that do really well here in Louisiana because they're Pierce's disease resistant. That's going to be Miss Blanc and Miss Blue. And as an LSU professor, I should not be telling you this, but the Miss isn't because she's a Miss Pretty Blanc or a Miss Pretty Blue, but it's from Mississippi State University. That's why there's a Miss. So, shh, you didn't hear that from an LSU person. But we can go down and we can see, you know, plenty of beautiful grapes still out here on the vines. We've got some nice muscadines that down here that are ripening, or almost there. They're still a little bit hard, but you can see the bigger they get, you know, and the softer they get, we'll start picking those. And as we keep coming down, I think we had some more table grapes, or what we would call bunch grapes down here. And the bunch grapes are, you can see some of them have ripened and some of them have not. Our muscadines and our table grapes are coming in. So these are nice and pretty. This is really a fun crop to have. Again, if you're in these garden homes and you have very little space to work with, you don't need a lot of space because remember, these are all vertical crops. So you can take these muscadines and grow them up just, you know, on a little trellis in your yard, or buy one of those, I don't know what you call them, like a spray that comes up, and just put them up on lattice work or things like that, and they do really well in the home garden. We're gonna turn around and we're gonna look at a fig tree here. So Louisiana, we're known for figs. If you're Italian, you make fig cookies. You know, we preserve these things. We make jellies. We do all kinds of things. Figs, interestingly enough, we have a lot of new, and I want you to zoom in on that latex coming out there, Anna, too, real quick, because we have a little story about that. Figs, we have a new rule with produce. It's called the Food Safety Modernization Act, and whoever wrote the rule must have been from north parts of the United States, because this one is not one that they consider eaten raw very often. But we all know down here in the South, we eat these raw all the time. So a fig should be soft, and when you come into it, usually they're gonna have a nice strawberry color. They're gonna taste a little seedy, but they're delicious. And this one behind me, I believe, is a Celeste. This has been out here many years on the Hill Farm. The reason why we have figs out here is not just to show our kids the different varieties, but to show them how to propagate. We do a lot of air layering on this fig tree and a lot of nice cuttings work and different things like that. If you want to propagate figs by cuttings, we usually do those in November when it's dormant. Air layering can happen any time of the year, and we'll do another video to show you that step by step. But when we're out here, and we might have someone joining us here in a second, we've got different types of figs. So this right here is the LSU purple fig. And again, ignore the weeds, you know, we're down in our staff. But what I want to show y'all is if y'all plant an LSU purple in your yard, you're gonna have horizontal growth first. So don't freak out when you look at the LSU purple figs in the nurseries. They're all growing wide like this. Give it a couple of years and they're going to start growing upright, but they come out like this for about 2 years and then they come up. Versus an LSU Gold, and we have Charlotte Fontenot with us now, coming out here. An LSU Gold from the start, or from the get up, is going to grow upright. So you can see this tree is the same age as the LSU Purple, and it looks like we fertilized it more or done something more special with it, but we haven't. It's just an upright growth habit on this LSU Gold fig right here. If you're into Louisiana and into, you know, being patriotic and all about your state, plant a fig tree. These were produced at LSU here. That's why they're called LSU Purple and LSU Gold. We also have released Tiger and Champagne, so great LSU releases for you guys in the fig world. Come on over here, and we've got some persimmon trees. Now, when you're eating persimmons, you want to go get a grape? Go ahead. When we're looking at persimmon trees, or you're picking one for your backyard, they have all kinds of types. These are Fuyu types, and when you're looking at these persimmons, they make a beautiful tree. First off, the glossy green foliage is gorgeous. It's gonna be deciduous, so the leaves are gonna fall off in the wintertime, but some of the fruit will still be hanging like little orange bulbs all over the tree. I love it. This right here isn't quite ready because it's still pretty firm. Now, I like to eat them when they're still firm, but some people like for them to soften and turn kind of an orangey gold color on the outside. I think these taste fine. It's almost like an apple pie. You can see this one's starting to blush, so it's just now starting to ripen, but we're gonna eat this fruit a little bit later this summer. So these are very popular in Asian cuisine. I've baked pies with these and substituted the unripe persimmons for apples, and they taste really good too. So it's a nice tree to have. Popular with wildlife. Deer like it. So if you're a hunter, you're trying to, you know, attract deer, it's great for that. And it's just really great, you know, edible crop for yourself. I will warn you, when you're looking at the labels, there are astringent persimmons and non-astringent. You want to get a non-astringent one because even when it's ripe, the astringent ones will like wick out all the moisture in your mouth and you'll be left very dry mouthed and coughing a lot. So you want to make sure you get Fuyus, and you want to make sure you get the non-astringent types. Okay, let's come over here. We've got a nice Loquat tree right here. Loquats, you guys, I think some people call these Japanese plums. This is one of my favorite ornamental trees. Now this has been out here for a long time at the Hill Farm, but the leaf shape is beautiful. You've got the dark glossy green leaves. You've got the light kind of, you know, almost silvery new growth coming in on these things. And I wish we could have filmed this when it was fruiting. We've actually just stopped eating all the fruit at this. There may be some way in the top of this tree here, but they're small and they're orange with like a single or maybe a double brown seed on the inside. They have like the texture of a grape with a fuzzy skin, but a sweet, sweet taste, you know. So these are excellent trees, very pretty and kind of upright growth habit, just gorgeous in the landscape, absolutely gorgeous. There's a couple of these on campus. So if you're students here, come out to the Hill Farm or go to J.C. Miller and you can eat that there. We'll just glance at the cute grapefruit producing a lot of fruit right there. You can see it's going to be ready closer to September, October, November. That's when we start getting all our citrus. So we have blood oranges for the students, satsumas, grapefruit, those kind of things, plums, pomegranates as we go to the back, pawpaw trees, and then right here we've got pear trees and then apple trees. And I guess I'll stop right here on the apple tree. And apple trees, you guys, are grown in Louisiana as a backyard crop. It's not really a commercial crop. One, we don't get a lot of the chill hours that you need for the popular ones, like your Granny Smiths or your Honeycrisp. Those are in the 1,000 level chill hours. We have to go with the Golden Dorset, with Anna, with crops like that that do better with our low chill hour requirements. But you can see right here we have a nice apple tree. We need to come back and cut off some of this growth down here. And it's coming up and we're producing some fruit. We got a little rot on that one right there. But these apples will be ready a little bit later in the season. They're not quite ready yet. We had an apple up here, but people might have already been picking it off that was starting to blush. But I think they've picked all the fruit off already. This is Einsheimer. And then I believe, if I remember right, this one's Anna. Yeah, this one's Anna right here. So Anna, Einsheimer, Golden Dorset. These are going to be nice apples for your backyard to try, because they're suited down here to Louisiana to deal with our hot, humid, sweating culture. Apples are more of a northern crop, but we can grow a few of them. If y'all have questions about the Hill Farm, if you want to learn more, y'all can register for a horticulture class out here at Louisiana State University. You can call your local county agent for more information on growing fruits and vegetables. You can look us up online, ask us questions. We're here to help you. That's part of our jobs. So Kiki Fontenot again at the Hill Farm on LSU's campus, and I hope y'all have a great night.